self-sabotage and the thermostat theory. Hey guys, this is Andy with Mindset Matters More. And I have heard this theory a couple of times. I might have even shared it here whenever, but I'm reading this book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I'm actually going to be doing a series on YouTube for this maybe in September after my Conversations with God series. So watch that. But in this, we're talking about our inner thermostat and what we allow in our lives. So here is the premise, right? You have a level of comfort in your life. Let's say that's 72 degrees, a balmy 72, right? How much money you make, how much love you receive, how many friends you have. Everything in your life is basically at that comfortable level, okay? But you start making a little bit more money and you start to have a little bit more friends and you start to have a little bit more love, and all of a sudden your husband's bringing you flowers and candy and taking you on trips, and then boom, all of a sudden it's heating up, right? It's about to hit 76, 77, 78 because everything is just coming in and you're like, fuck that, I'm going to pick a fight with my husband. I'm going to stop going to work because I don't need that much money. Like, you start to block yourself in many ways. Now, this also works in the opposite direction where all of a sudden you're sitting there and you maybe miss a few days and you're not making as much money. And so you have all of a sudden a fire under your ass because it's cooling off and it's getting down to 65 degrees. And you're like, man, I got to make so much more money. So I'm going to do this. I got all these ideas and I'm going to execute, and I'm here. And, maybe your husband's giving you the cold shoulder. So you're like, hey, love, I really want you to do this for me. I really want you to be more proactive. And so you start to become more involved in getting back to that 72 degrees. But once that happens, the systems kick off because now you're at 72 degrees. You're comfortable at the amount of money you make, at the amount of relationship you have, at the amount of everything in your life that is right there and it's comfortable. And so I want to talk about that self-sabotage mechanism, because I have found that there's many ways that this has happened in my life. And if you listen to yesterday's podcast, it was really talking about that self-sabotage. It's like, that's not for me. I can't do that. But one of the biggest self-sabotage, one of the biggest ones that we often feel like is we compare ourselves to people who have what we think we want, okay? So what does that mean? So you want to make a lot more money. So you're like, I would like to make, let's say, 3 times what I make. So you look at the person who is in your company who makes 3 times what you make, or has the business that makes 3 times what you make, and you see how they live their lifestyle, and you're like, fuck that. I do not want that, because then that means I'm going to have to work 3 times as much. I'm going to have 3 times the amount of stress. I'm going to have 3 times the amount of employees that I don't want to deal with. I'm going to you already start catastrophizing all these things because you don't want to give up the comforts of where you are, because the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, right? So right now you're working your 40 hours. You get to do your hobbies. You get to spend time with your family. And you believe that you have this notion that, if I start to do if I make 3 times as much, that means I need to work 3 times as hard. And that's just not true. That's absolutely not true. We have a belief system that's in place that is going to keep us from believing that we can make more money with the same amount of effort. We believe that, just because I'm going to be making more money, that means more of my energy needs to be poured into this thing. And you look at people who are hyper successful and they're working all the time. That's all they do. That's all they want. And you're just like, well, I don't want to wind up like them. And you won't. You won't. That's just not who you are. That's not what you want. But in doing so, again, you are preventing yourself from coming up with ideas and coming up with that divine intervention that's going to tell you, hey, you know what? Let's say you're a real estate broker, right? And I say this because my mom's a real estate broker. So this is like the first thing that comes in my head, okay? So you're selling homes, okay? But you typically work in an area that, the median average home is $300,000, okay? So you sell maybe 20 houses a year, okay? What if I told you could make twice as much doing the same amount of work, okay? So all you had to do is go to a neighborhood where the median average household price is $600,000. Oh, you still got to sell the same 20 houses, right? You could even make 3 times as much if you started moving to neighborhoods where it's $1.2 million was the average home price. And you still only got to sell 20 houses. But you believe that because I'm making a certain amount of money, that if I want to make twice as much, that means twice the effort. There's ingenious ways in which all of these processes happen. Same thing with being in a relationship, okay? So you want to be closer to your partner. That means, I got to do more for them. I have to buy them bigger presents. I have to spend more money. I have to have more sex. Whatever, maybe that's true. But it's about the quality of the time that you give. It's about the attention and the care and the details that you put into it that are going to make that so spectacular that maybe even if you only have one date night, you make that date night so fucking good that you have your husband eating out of the palm of your hands for the rest of the week. It's not about the time and resources that go into these things. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about thinking how divine inspiration can help me to do the same amount of work for more money. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. And so instead of self-sabotaging in that stinky deaky way of, I'm happy where I am, like kick up the fucking thermostat to 85 degrees, be Florida in this motherfucker. And, start to think of other ways in which you can 2x, 10x, 100x what it is that you want by doing something with more care, with doing something with better ideas, with more connection to the spiritual realm, with more connection to something higher than just, I gotta grind. Because let me tell you, the grind culture is just so dumb. It's absolutely dumb. The grinding culture is absolutely, it's misinformed. It's misinformed. That's what it is. It's well-intentioned. It's like, hey, you want to go for your dreams? Go for your fucking dreams. But I tell you this, 2 hours of hyper-focused attention to your goal is better than a 12-hour day of just busy work. 2 hours of I'm going to laser focus on this fucking thing is better than a full day of just busy work, checking emails, making calls, and doing this and doing that and going here and researching that. Like 2 hours of attention to your relationship is better than a week of just sitting there watching TV. So, what do you guys think? Let me know. Am I full of shit? Anyways, I'm going to put in the links for my book and my YouTube in the description. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.